Alright everybody, welcome to day 6 of the home invasion giveaway. We're gonna jump right in and get right down to it here. Alright, looks like we're heading to Earth Tear Cavern. That is one of the crown-only homes. That is also located in Craglorn. During here, we see we've definitely got some decoration going on, which is good to see. So we'll actually have us a little look around. We've got a banker and a merchant ready to greet us right here at the entrance. We got some, these are the trial busts that come on the marble pedestal. Got another bust here, sitting into the wall. Not entirely sure how I feel about that placement. It's anchored, technically speaking, but it's a little weird. Got these busts here lining the floor as we come along. Our basic little busts from the veteran dungeons. Got a cauldron of burning oil here, apparently poised to fry any fish that might be daring enough to swim near this ledge. We've got a catapult, other siege weapons, a ballista, another ballista. We've got a horse going on here, little basket. This is kind of funny here. I've got to admit, this is pretty cute. We've got this statue riding the horse. This poor horse. It actually works, though. I mean, it's a little weird, but it works. That's a neat idea. We got a Redguard fire pit here, and nothing else going on around it, but still a nice fire pit, dueling banner. Looking out over here, we can see another siege weapon in the distance. We'll get a little closer look at that in a little bit here. Heading on over here, we've got even more siege weaponry. We can tell that this person spends a lot of time in Cyrodiil, and there's nothing wrong with that. And cave bear seems appropriate for a, well, cave. Let's swim across here, see if we've got anything going on these little islands in the distance. It doesn't look like we do, but we'll get a closer look just to make sure there's nothing tiny kind of hidden in distance here. Nothing doing on this island, and now over to this island. And nothing doing here either. So we'll head on back over to the mainland and around to the part that's behind where we enter. So here's the catapult that we saw in the distance briefly earlier. And we've got a couple of lanterns here leading us up the stairs, and another set at the top. And we'll head on back here, and a couple more lanterns, and default chandelier there that I know is default because I've seen it in another one. And we got a fire pit. And we got a bed. We got a bed back here, a little sleeping place, and a banner and a lion. Not a lot going on here. Enough to say that yeah, the house has been decorated, but not enough to say, yeah, this is really great. This is just kind of like, it's there. The person spends a lot of time in Cyrodiil, nothing wrong with that. They spend a lot of time, or they have spent time doing trials, rather. We don't really know that they've spent a lot of time necessarily. They have cleared some debt trials. In any case, we've seen what there is to see here, so we are going to pick another house. All right, we're heading to Daggerfall Overlook. Of course, this is the large house in Daggerfall. It's the castle. It's, I think, based on my experience talking to people, it's the most popular of the 3.8 million gold houses. It's got a really nice layout, and it leaves a lot of room for customization. So upon loading here, at first glance, at the very least, it does not look like we have a lot going on. It's very likely we're going to skip this. We're going to take a little look around quickly just to make sure that there's not more than meets the eye. We just got a horse in the stable. We've got an empty garage, as I like to call that area. And everything's looking pretty default with the exception of the jester banners and the horse. We're going to take a quick peek inside. It's a banker, painting, a merchant, and a bunch of empty space. So we're going to move on. This house is not decorated yet, and no shame in that. These houses are large, and it's expensive to decorate them. It takes a lot of time, a lot of gold, a lot of effort. So anyway, we are moving on. Right, we're heading to the Goranir Estate. This is a Wood Elf themed house. This is a fairly popular property, I've noticed. It's really nice, got a lot of outdoor space to it, and a couple of pods for interior space. So we'll, once we're loaded in here, we'll take a look around and see what we've got going on in this particular property. Alright, so at a quick glance, I see a couple plants that were from the luxury vendor that were clearly out of the house. It might be relatively bare otherwise, so we might be moving on, but we'll take a look for sure and see what's going on. Heading into the first interior space, we've got a bust on a table. That's not a whole lot. We'll check out another interior space. I'm not seeing anything really going on in the exterior. Okay, we're bare in here. So this is another virtually empty property, not yet decorated. So we'll take a look at something else. All right, and it looks like we're heading back to Daggerfall Overlook. Hopefully this one will be decorated, and we'll actually have something to look at, as I really hate to waste your time. Apparently I'm lazy and I just don't like to edit videos, so I won't cut stuff out. But I think, the commentary is interesting, and eventually, once I get a little bit more skilled at this whole YouTube thing, I'll take the time to figure out how to edit videos and put skips in and cut things out and make it all real nice and pretty and whatnot. So anyway, we are loading in here, and I'm not seeing a whole lot at first, so I'm not having the highest of hopes here, but we will take a look and at least, make sure that we're not missing something. We've got a few animals in the stables here, a dog, we got a striped lion here, and we got a couple horses. Nothing going on again in the garage area, as I like to call it. Nothing going on with the fountain, nothing visible on the outside. Moving down to the inside, we see a little bit of promise. We see an entryway that's definitely developed up, and we got a nicely centered carpet here, so I'm not getting the itches, so that's a positive thing. And we've got some flowers here. We got a painting on the wall. The painting is floating, however. This is a common problem, especially with these smaller paintings that don't have the thicker frame. When you use the surface drag feature, it doesn't actually set it on the wall. It's setting it on a collision surface that's actually off from where the wall is visually. But yeah, we've definitely got enough decoration here to call this a house, so we will give it a full look. Right, heading over to the side room here. We've got our merchant, we've got our banker, and an appropriate setup for them. We've got a lockbox. We've got to backpack some coins, blotter and whatnot, and everything else. Blotter's not the right word, but I used it anyway. So we've got a bookcase with some scrolls set on it that I don't believe were default, but I can't say for sure, and the hourglass as well. Everything, floating candle. That floating candle right there. We know how we feel about floating items. There's also a floating piece of paper. But again, though, it's one of those things where when you're viewing it from the top down, or even, at a mostly topward angle, you can't tell. It looks good, but when you go like this, you realize it's floating. This is kind of where care comes in placing items. And on this table here, I thought something here was floating, but actually this table looks, look at that. Actually, everything on that table, with the exception of one thing, is actually floating. So we got some float going on this table. Not quite as bad as the candle on that table there, but there's definitely some float. This shelf here, I've got the horn on there, stuff, and the scroll looks pretty good. Wall sconce was off for whatever reason. I think it looks better on, so we're turning that on. We got a bedroll, and we got our smuggler here. So this is our NPC room. Come here to get stuff done. We've got a little dining area here. We've got the chandelier set up. The chandelier is floating. It is not actually braced to the ceiling. This may have been a conscious decision based on the way the light hits the table at this range. And it may not have been. It may have simply been that because you're looking from here, it looks like the chain's in the ceiling until you look really close and you realize that it isn't. Really easy mistake to make if it was a mistake. If it's intentional, I still don't know how I feel about it. I really like items to be anchored. Again, it's really a matter of opinion to a degree, but frankly, it makes a house look better when stuff makes sense. And we've got this painting here, which again is also floating. Walls and paintings, unfortunately, they don't play nice together. You really have to work at them. I plan on doing a video sometime, perhaps in the next week or so, really going into detail on how to get your paintings placed nicely, because it really is a pain in most properties. And again, this painting here also is floating. Not surprising. We've got a nice little kind of audience area set up here in the throne room. And we've got 5 thrones. This is unusual. Nothing wrong with it. It's kind of cool. The implication is really neat. It's some sort of ruling council that probably happens here. And the chairs are arranged in a kind of a neat and kind of interesting way. Kind of staggered, and it's really cool. I like that a lot, actually. We've got these pedestal braziers here, which they work. They definitely work in this room. My personal feeling on this particular brazier, though, is that it is meant to be pushed against a wall, and that is really kind of reinforced by the fact that, as you can see through it from this side. They didn't really develop this very well to not be pushed against a wall. So these type of braziers really want to be against a wall with that flat surface right up against it, so that you don't see that that transparency in the back, which is just really odd and jarring. But to be fair, that's something that really should be fixed on ZeniMax's end. They really should make that solid so that people can have the option of having it not against the wall without it looking weird. We got some backpacks set up here at random. I like random stuff kind of littering the area, you know, here and there. I don't know specifically what the idea is with the backpacks, but I don't necessarily need to know. We got some orc banners and some kind of orc totems, and these are orc thrones with fur. And we've got this carpet centered nicely leading up. That's excellent. I really like the centering on that. This carpet placed sideways is also well centered, and we've kind of got a stool here, and probably for someone to sit and directly speak with the Council of Elders, I'm going to call it. Nice lighting in here from the torches, which appear to be placed quite well on the wall, which is good to see. And those torches are also well placed, and we're going to light these up because I just feel like lights should be on. Alright, so we'll head now upstairs, see what we've got going on up there. Nothing particularly exciting going on in the hallway here. That's alright. We've got this painting on the wall here, which is not surprisingly floating, and it's also crooked. Makes it a little bit worse. Target skeleton here, chilling, and if you want to come smack him, he'll accept that because he has no choice but to accept it. And we've got another painting here floating. I think at this point I'm going to just stop looking at the paintings. I think we can accept that they're all going to be floating. This is definitely a situation where surface drag was used. When looking at it head on, it looks perfectly good, but you come close and you realize, oh man, that painting's really far off the wall. But it is what it is. We've got this couch here. This is a nice little sitting area, actually, and it's also a combat area. It's different. We've got a little inside garden set up in this room here, and a nice large carpet. Really rounds this area out well. We've got this framework here with some vines laid on it, which looks kind of nice, and it's an interesting use of that framework. And we've got this jar with a plant in it, which looks great. These jars with plants, which also look good. Good looking stuff in here. Nothing extravagant. And we got this bust here on the rock, which is, you know, looking pretty good too. So not bad. We got a little empty space going on over here, but this space is really narrow, kind of hard to decorate anyway. So we'll move on in here to the master bedroom. Artwork on the walls, which I'm not even going to look closely at because we know that they're probably floating. We got a couple busts laying on the floor. We got a nice little desk here to do some work at, perhaps have a little discussion. Got this this artsy jar here. We've definitely seen this in a few houses. This is a really nice jar. It adds color and life, and this fern that's in it is really great as well. So we went with a dark elf theme here in the master bedroom. Dark elf canopy bed. We've got the dark elf body pillow, dark elf nightstand, dark elf vanity. This is all good stuff. Personally, I really like the dark elf style. I don't personally believe it really goes with this house specifically, but at the same time, it doesn't not go. Dark elf style works really well. Anything that's really stone castle kind of thing. So that's cool. And that's it for the upstairs. Now we're going to head down to what is traditionally a dungeon area for this house, and we'll see what we've got going on down there. We've got some Dark Brotherhood hand banners greeting us as we enter, which hopefully sets a theme for the area. Okay, we've got the Order of the Hour rug here, which is from the same area as the Dark Brotherhood stuff, so it's definitely something thematic going on here. And this statue definitely fits. We got Argonian snakes on a rope, which is almost as exciting as Argonian snakes on a plane, which ZeniMax really missed the opportunity to do there. They could have put snakes on a board or a plane and had Argonian snakes on a plane, which would have been hilarious. And pop culture references are not something that's outside the scope of Elder Scrolls, but it was a real missed opportunity. Maybe one day they will add that for us so that we can all enjoy snakes on a plane. Alright, so we got some more snakes on a rope here. I also didn't point out, and I'm going to point it out now, all of these snakes on a rope are floating. They're not actually anchored into the ceiling. Again, it's something that if you're doing it if you're kind of looking at it from, down to up, it doesn't look wrong. It looks like it's in there. But it's when you take the higher angle, you start to realize, oh shoot, it's not in there. So we've got these wanted posters in a couple different spots. The one being kind of on the stockade there is an interesting choice. You wouldn't typically see one on the stockade, but hey, why not? And we got these wall hides here, fur, and we got this skull totem here, and another one here. So this room works thematically. I mean, it's a little bit weird. I mean, like the snakes on a rope I don't quite get it, but it looks cool. I like it. We like it. So we're going to hop out to the ocean here, see if we've got anything going on. I'm going to guess, yeah. Just default ocean, just all water, nothing much going on here. So that's actually going to do it for this house. That is 2 out of 3 houses, as we're calling it, and we are going to move on to one more. And it looks like we'll be going to Daggerfall Overlook again. As I mentioned before, this is a popular property. It's large. It's a castle. It's a castle, guys. Come on. Who doesn't love a castle? Yeah, it's large. There's a lot you can do with it. So let's take a look. Does not look like we got a whole lot on the exterior, but there might be more on the interior. So let's take a look here. We've got... And we got a horse. This is a stocked stable, absolutely stocked. Actually, one thing I didn't do in the last house that if it comes out close, I may have to do is check out their tower. Nothing going on this one. Let's see here. Over on the fountain, it looks like we have a few busts. So we'll take a quick look at that. So we got a few busts here. So far, I'm not quite willing to call this a house, but we're going to take a look inside. Got something. Okay, not looking like we've really got anything. No, this is pretty bare, so we're not going to count this one. It's just not right to count this. Okay, so moving on. Lots of people have their houses closed off right now. Dig, 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 dig. Alright, it looks like this person might actually be home, which will be an interesting turn of events. I don't think I've yet encountered somebody at their house. So this will be interesting. Alright, so as we load into the house, yep, we can see that the owner is in fact home, and it is decorated. We do like to see a decorated home. So we've got some nice red guard couches here, a nice little carpet laid out. We've got an enchanting station, a dresser with a starfish. We've got an hourglass, dark elf lantern. We've got a tapestry hanging here on the wall. This carpet is askew, as I've mentioned before. An askew carpet done intentionally and well done looks good. This is one of those cases where this works. Flowers in a vase, we like that. Custom placed book under the bench here, and it's well placed. Custom placed book on the bench, also well placed. We've got paintings on the wall here that are... Yeah, they're not bad. I mean, they're floating. Okay, yeah, they are floating. It was hard to actually see that because the lip created by the window here. But yeah, those paintings are floating a bit. This painting here, again, is floating, but it's kind of hidden by the bar. So this house is a little bit more favorable as far as the paintings go. It's a little bit harder to see when they're floating, which is almost as good as not floating. Almost as good. So we've got a little kind of kitchen counter set up here. We've got stuff set in. A baked potato right there is kind of making me laugh a little bit. Fixed food being kind of stored away is a little bit funny. Not wrong, not bad, just amusing. The food does appear to be well anchored, placed quite well. A lot of care taken in this house, it would seem. And we've got some herbs hanging on the shelf there, lantern, some corns, soup, just this nice little kitchen area. We've got a cooking fire here in the fireplace. That's quite fitting. Beets hanging from a string on in this, and they're anchored well. Those are all anchored well. Everything on this table here appears to be sitting. That's excellent. We've got chandeliers that are hooked into things. We've got another book placed here. I like having books around. This hutch is set up. We've got some stuff on the hutch, and that looks to be everything in there looks to be placed pretty carefully. If the plates that are standing up on this top row are not touching the back, it is impossible for me to get an angle that really suggests, well, okay, I can see the one far plate there perhaps isn't touching the back. But the rest of them look like they really are, and even the one that's not, it's hard to tell, and it looks good. It's a really nicely done hutch setup. And we come upstairs, we got nice filled bookcases here. There's some books piled next to it. We've got a book on a stand here. Another bookcase, and we've got a desk, letter, which that's all set nicely. Looking good. We've got a wardrobe going on. Candle-filled lamp. This is a furnishing that I am actually seeing for the first time. I really kind of like it. Didn't know it existed. It looks great. I'm definitely going to be looking for that myself. I definitely can think of a few houses I'd like to put that in. And we've got this painting here, which I think this one, oh no, this one actually is floating. I thought this would be anchored, being that it's set, it's these wood things that actually stick out a bit. So we got a bit of float there, and it is placed in front of a window, which is an interesting choice. So a little natural light will come up behind that during the daytime. I don't know how it's actually playing into the room, whether it's kind of coming through the painting or not. I'm not sure about that. Dark elf, well, lantern here. We've got a chandelier there, which does appear to be set in to the wood in the ceiling, which I love to see. As you've seen me harping on chandeliers a lot lately. So it's good to see that is set in. This really nice divider here. Another little bed. Paintings are floating. I just have to accept that most people are going to have their paintings floating. Really large jar with a hibiscus in it. Looks great. Nice little sitting area. This carpet here. This sheet, sun carpet, is crooked. And it's not crooked in a way that looks intentional or good. Because it's only crooked by a bit. I mean, well, more than a bit. It's noticeable, but it's not. It's clearly not intentional. So, a couple, brownie points off there. Really don't dig the crooked carpet. That's clearly not intentional. But other than that, I mean, damn, this house, it's carefully decorated and thoughtfully, and it looks pretty good. I believe we have a courtyard, if I'm not mistaken. I think one of these doors will go to a courtyard. Let me just verify that. Oh, we've got a basement. I didn't even know about the basement. I better look at that. So we've got some more paintings down here, which of course are floating, yada, yada, yada. We've got this banner here, which is anchored nicely into the wood there. Wardrobe, we got this runner. We got some animals hanging out down here. A chest there. The ivy on the wall here is nice. Oh, wait, can we go through? Oh, we can totally go through that. That's awesome. Oh, this is a custom-built wall. This is really cool. This is really, really cool. So check it out. Like, this wall's not normally here, right? And this ivy, and it's like this hidden entrance, and you come right through here. This little door they've created for us. This whole wall is all custom. Each of these stones is furnishing. So this had to be done very carefully. Absolutely stellar. Looks really great. This gargoyle is on top of this pillar nicely. I don't know. I actually don't know whether or not this pillar and gargoyle actually come as a single piece or not. I think they might. But in any case, it looks really great in this room. The coffins, the hand banner. We got the hanging skeleton that's caged there, and he's anchored nicely. This secret little like custom-made room is really, really cool. It's thematically, it works. I mean, you've got the kind of death and like vampire theme. This is like a secret like vampire hideout. Like, you know, it's dark. This is a place where the vampires go to like hide and, you know, do their vampire thing, and it's secret and it's well hidden, and I almost missed it. I mean, that's how well hidden it is. And I don't know this house well enough enough to have known that the basement was larger. Because I mean, the placement of this dividing wall here looks natural. You know what I mean? It looks like it fits, and with the vines on it, you miss the fact initially that it's a custom built wall. So that's really well done. I mean, it really can trick someone who doesn't know the house. And until you notice, oh, there's some light coming through the vines, right? And you go through and just wow. So a ton of care taken here. We've got this string of lanterns anchored to the ceiling there, I believe. Check. Yeah, that looks anchored. And anchored to the ceiling there as well. So lights are anchored. We really haven't seen a whole lot of mistakes specifically in this house. A crooked carpet upstairs and in the paintings. The paintings are such a common thing that it almost feels like not even worth mentioning anymore. So this little house is going to be the winner today. Everything in here is done carefully, neatly, well thought out, and I love custom structures, custom rooms, and this house did that really, really well in the basement with that hidden vampire lair. Absolutely stellar, fantastic work. Seems like a theme that somehow the last house I visit is like the winner for the day. I assure you this is not intentional. I pick these houses pretty much at random. And when I say pretty much, I mean really at random. I mean, I scroll to as part of the list, and if I get to a house that I can't enter, I'll generally kind of keep clicking through in the same general area. I don't come into this video each day with a preconceived notion of where I'll be going. But for some reason, it seems like the last house I end up in is always the winner, and it's not a matter of changed perception. It's just that's how it's falling. In any case, yeah, this house wins, and we'll see you back tomorrow for one more of these videos, and then I'll be switching gears for a bit, doing something a little bit different, the exact nature of which I've not yet decided, but you will know in a couple of days. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. As always, subscribe if you like this type of video. Give me a like, comment, get active on the channel. Let's make this something. Thank you. Have a great day.